will. We, of course, saw the Uconn Huskies take down our scrappy local San Diego State Aztecs by 17, but I think that number was a little skewed. We'll get to that side of it here in a bit. But for Uconn, this was a team that dominates en route to their 5th national championship since 1999, the most in that span out of any program. It was the really size, strength, and speed. They really did reign supreme for the Huskies. Of course, saw Adama, Sanogo, and Jordan Hawkins lead the way. Interesting, the Uconn Huskies end their season going 17-0 against non-conference opponents, and all of their wins were by double digits. I think this is a really good look for the Big East, considering how dominant Uconn was, I should say, in those non-conference games. Well, they only went 13-7 in their own conference, so that really does show you what they were up against in conference. And of course, Danny Hurley wins his first national championship. Interestingly enough, he becomes the 3rd different coach in Uconn history in this 25 year span. 3rd different coach, joining both, of course, the great Jim Calhoun and Kevin Ollie. Obviously, Mr. Hurley hopes he can avoid Kevin Ollie's fate in a few years, but that's for another day. Raider Jim, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Uconn taking their 5th national title since 1999?
Yeah, you hit on it with that conference play record. And I'll tell you, they started the season real slow, to say the least. Mediocre, barely applied. They started 8-9, including a string of 6 straight losses between Thanksgiving and mid-December. And they lost to rated teams, non-rated teams. They really were not looking well going into the holiday season. As you alluded to, 13-7 in conference play. Lost to Marquette in the Big East Conference tournament. Landed a 5 seed nonetheless from Selection Sunday. And as I said throughout, as we went into March, the thing is, it becomes a 6-game season, and then it just comes down to whichever team can run the board in that 6-game season, regardless of non-conference records, conference records. That's the team that's going to take home the national title. And not only did they take it home, they did so. It was just a statement all the way. It was dominance, and there's no other way to put it. It didn't matter who they played. They were dominant. You can't say enough about the play of Adama, Sanogo, and Jordan Hawkins, and Hawkins' cousin, Angel Reese,
Yes,
who I have plenty to say about as we progress here in the show, is also a member of the 2022-23 Women's National Championship out of LSU. Shout out also again to USD transfer Joey Calcaterra, who really showed why the transfer portal can be valuable to these kids. He went from being on USD, a team that was getting no respect, no ratings, and didn't deserve any of it, put his name in the transfer portal, ends up with Hurley at Uconn, and now look, he's got a ring, something he would not have been able to attain at USD. So congratulations to all those guys. Congratulations to Coach Hurley. It's one of those warming things to not only see his accomplishment, know his story, but then when you see his brother and his dad right there getting to enjoy that too. Wow, just remarkable. Let's see. The hard part is, as I'm going to say about the Aztecs, I'm going to say it about Uconn because I've had to say it about Gonzaga for 20-something years now. It's not getting there, it's staying there. So let's see what happens between now and next season and next March.
Yeah, Uconn is kind of that team that they're either going to win a national championship or they're going to miss the tournament altogether. That's in the 25 years, this 25-year span. That's kind of the way they've gone. I heard someone talking about it. You know, this isn't a Kansas who's been in the tournament, the last seems like forever, or even a Michigan State. This is a team that seems like when they get there, they make the absolute most of it, and they're not terribly. I think maybe the first tournament win, they were a bit of a higher seed, but I mean, they were a 7 seed. They were this time a 4 seed. So all kinds of ways they get it done. Congratulations again to the Huskies. But Coach, what are your thoughts on UConn's dominant run to the championship?
You know, UConn, the non-labeled blue blood, but should be labeled blue blood, with their 5 national titles in that year span. lot overwhelming than some of those known blue bloods that have titles over, a longer length of time. So, is what it is in regards to that. I'm sure UConn just doesn't think of it any other way other than, they're national champions. So congrats to them. Yes, Adama Sanogo, just a beast, as Raider Jim alluded to. Great run, yes. Not a local kid, but has local ties with Joey Calcaterra. Showed out, played very well that game. And, let's just call Danny Hurley the unknown Hurley of the three, where you have a legendary coaching father. You have probably the all-time greatest point guard in NCAA history in Bobby, and unfortunate auto accident ended his pro career. And then you have little Danny Hurley, who wasn't even the best player on his Seton Hall team, but played significant minutes. So a kid that grew up on the East Coast, Jersey kid, a kid that grew up playing in the Big East, and winning a national title coming out of the Big East. So I don't want to say full circle until he probably takes Seton Hall to the national championship, which I doubt will ever happen. But nonetheless, great run for him, great run for UConn. And let's not forget, what a great run for our own team, San Diego State Aztecs.
Definitely. And it's a perfect segue to that. Obviously, look, you have 352 teams in Division I. Every single one, whether they admit it or not, their goal is to be playing Monday night in April. Now, let's be honest, there's maybe about 25 to 30 teams that really are able to do that. There are a lot of the smaller majors that are just going to be happy with a one tournament win. But for the Aztecs to be playing on Monday night in a national championship game, it's still a little bit unfathomable to me, but it is time, of course, to talk about the Aztecs and a fantastic run that unfortunately